Next topic.
We're going with empathy here, Shan.
Yeah.
Yeah, we feel that empathy must be taught in schools. Usually taught at home, but no, schools seems to be the place
it's timely you raised the conversation about empathy, because I think that was on the previous story. If we had a bit more empathy, maybe we would have thought more about people. Isn't that right, Nick? But I think now we're trying to get people to teach it to young children as early as possible in schools. I think the concept is nice, but the reality is I'm a chair of governors of a local school in East London, the same school that kicked me out, but that's another story for another day, right? But I think there's enough pressure on teachers to teach education, and we have to focus on those standards. I'd be much more what's happening in people's homes, that they need to be taught about being empathetic in the first place or being kind to others, because I want my child to go to school to learn about maths and English and other things. They shouldn't need to have a lesson to teach about kindness, in my humble opinion.
Nick, what do you think?
Oh, I see a shake of the head, Nick.
Take your mind back to those distressing images from the riots a couple of weeks ago, and one of the most upsetting for me were pictures of mums taking their children in, I think they're called strollers, and watching people throwing rocks at police officers, possibly their own dads, their elder brothers, their uncles or whatever. I'm thinking of those children who sadly are condemned to grow up in homes where they think this sort of violence is almost par for the course. They might not have parents who are particularly interested. I totally take on board Tim's point. This cannot be done at the expense of things such as maths and English. But on the radio show today, we actually spoke with the former science teacher who's developed this, and he explained how it works. These are age-appropriate videos. They start in primary school. They go all the way through secondary school, and they watch a video. One happens to be of a Mexican festival organizer, someone else who shows how he's effectively forages for all his own food, and it prompts conversations. And my mind goes back to those kiddies who witness that sort of violence. What on earth is going on in their homes? I dread to think if this can be a place of comfort, as I'm sure Tim's school is, a place of comfort for these kiddies, and they can learn to empathise and they have conversations about it. As long as they're not missing out, I get Tim's point, I think it can only be a good thing.
Yeah.
Nick raises a good point, because the statistics are bearing this out in terms of the report from the studies, that 27% increase on empathy from the students, and there was a 20% increase actually in behaviour. So if it helps people with behaviour, great, but maybe let's confine it to the PSHE lessons rather than taking over another teacher's time on more generic lessons that we might need.
Yeah, I suppose in this day and age with social media and, bullying on the increase, there could be merit for a lesson a bit like this, but